Hello and welcome to Just a Moment. My name is Kristen Harding. Welcome to the show. Today we're going to start out with our wonderful little blessing cards, but before we do, I want to say a very special happy birthday to my husband, Paul, who turned 62. And one of the funny things is that when I met him, neither one of us thought we were going to make it past 30. So 32 years past the day that we thought, And so now we are actually the same age because I turned 63 in about a month. So it's fun to be the same age. So let's get started. Blessed be. These are my blessing cards. Kind of like tarot, but just with a blessing in mind. So I'm going to pop over here and oh, there he is. And he says he loves me. Isn't that sweet? All these years. All right, so blessed be. The first one that came up I thought was actually very pretty, like beautiful card. So and a beautiful thought because it's a blessing for solace and hope. So let's see what it says. This is a blessing for solace, the comfort that comes in the form of good fortune, strange little moments that bring you back to the sense that the universe is a place where you are cared for, considered, and important, and that this solace brings you hope for the future and anticipation of the fair things that life will continue to bring you. Solace is the balm and the antidote to the wounds that life can deliver. It isn't personal, for being here is a great gift, and we live in times where, in many ways, we are safer than we have ever been before. But we are fed a diet of hopelessness from our cultures and our media sources until we become overwhelmed with the troubles that seem to surround us. This blessing is for you to find your way back to sweetness, for the flower in bud to release its sweetness. For you to notice the shimmer of light upon water, the sheer pleasure of movement, the ease of a mind no longer racing over problems to be solved, but soft, intelligent, allowing the calm of life to steal back into your soul. This is the solace that keeps our hopes alive, the gift of good fortune that reawakens the candle of optimism that is within us, and the delight in the sheer whimsy of being here and being alive. It is the understanding that there may be little control, but we are no mere pawns in this life. We have our place in the world, and simply with our breathing in and out, we matter, and we are doing enough. To find solace is to find peaceful moments, small connections, to notice the thousand gifts that life has conferred upon us, and it is to again invoke the divinity of existence without the fear of the future. Let hope give you lightness, draw away the pain, and open you up again to the possibilities until you begin once again to relish the simple, wonderful truth of being alive. Okay, so that was the first one. And sometimes when I do a reading, two cards come out, and that's what happened today. So the second one is a blessing for the right words. A blessing for apt speech to call to your lips the right words that speak simply and clearly and find their mark. May the words that fall from your lips be blessed, friend. In times when we speak of difficult things, it can be a great challenge to conjure up the words that best express our feelings and intent without causing offense or harm to another. We struggle sometimes with this balance, and in doing so, our words may be watered down, lost in the desire to appease, in the wish to do no harm. But with this blessing, there will be words that come to find you without effort, the words alight by the fires of inspiration, and they will flow from your mind to your mouth and be heard fully and fairly. May you be blessed this day with the speech of good sense, the conversation that clears and clarifies, and most of all, the words that will be heard by those who you need to understand and to listen. May you be blessed with the words that stir hearts, that make friends of minds that were once firm against yours. May your words, like water, seep their way into the cracks of stone and work their magic of transformation within. Your words are spells, and their magic can take time, but with the apt speech that you are blessed with this day, doors of understanding open up between you and others, and where you once fell silent, you will speak up. Where you once faltered and shied away from the difficult things that must be said, you will rise and flow through this challenge and embrace the opportunity to give voice to the darkness. Where once you let others speak and heard only your own words in your mind, you will now hear them out in the world and know that you have used words as others use weapons, but it is not for battle, rather for courage and understanding. May you find ways to cut through the falsehoods that others and their words can weave about you. Let your words be songs of praise as they flow from the gift of speech you have been blessed with. May you no longer stay quiet, friend, for you have been blessed by the power of right speech, and it will serve you well each time you sing out your truth. I love it. All right. We kind of left off in the middle of a chapter, but we can begin where we left off. And we were talking about ascension symptoms. And the book is You're Not Dying, You're Just Waking Up by Elizabeth April. And I checked the Facebook rules and YouTube too. I can read the books as long as I acknowledge the author. So. All right. So we were on symptoms. There's lots of them. So, ascension symptoms. Excessive sweating or smelling, not pleasant. Food sensitivities, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, physical pain in the body, in the areas of old injuries. To support the physical release. Light exercise, walking, jogging, dancing, this helps the energy to move through your body. Light stretching or yoga, a healthy diet of raw veggies and fruits, natural detoxing supplements, getting out those heavy metals, chemicals, and the other toxins. Look into activated charcoal, it says. And tapping, by tapping and putting repetitive pressure on the areas of pain with the intention of release. It really helps to let that stuff go. If you really want to get into it, do a little research on the meridians in your body and work with them. Emotional purging. She says, God, GAWD, what a terrible time. The emotional purge has got to be the worst type of purging. Usually, this is the stage where heavy, and I mean heavy, emotions will hit you out of absolutely nowhere. For divine masculine energies, regardless of gender, this will come through in a very reactionary, triggered, and extra stubborn manner. Masculine people energy will be extra resistant and even potentially angry during this time of emotional purging. Divine masculine energies have a hard time changing because of attachment, expectation, pride, and identity. It can be difficult for them to allow the purge and release and allow it to happen. Divine feminine energies, on the other hand, will go through moments, days, maybe even months or years of crying, taking things extremely personally, and feeling self defeated. But divine feminine energies allow the release to happen. They are more comfortable with the breakdown and really embody it. This helps to move the emotions through your body faster. Keep in mind, most of this type of purging is actually releasing old emotional energies and traumas from the past, and often has absolutely nothing to do with the present moment of your life. This is what makes it so difficult to deal with, because it is seemingly irrational. The best thing you can do during these tumultuous times is be patient with yourself and have compassion for your human. The worst thing that you can do is bury the emotions by distracting yourself from them or by convincing yourself that you're okay. Remember the first chapters? Yeah, you don't want to go back there. Some symptoms: lower back pain, tightness in hips, digestion issues, sacral chakra, emotional center release. Sore throat, stiffness and pain in the neck and upper back, throat chakra, clearing and release. Random triggers, reactions, or crying, roller coaster ride of emotions, extreme exhaustion, and anxiety. Supporting emotional release. Journaling. Seriously, even just writing one sentence in your notebook, "I feel crappy today and I don't know why," will help you recognize the emotion, respect it, and release it. Remember that emotions do not have solutions. Stop trying to fix yourself during this release and just surrender, especially for the masculine energies. I like that. I'm going to read that one more time. Stop trying, remember that emotions do not have solutions. Stop trying to fix yourself during this release and just surrender, especially for the masculine energies. Call on a fellow human. Calling up a friend, family member, or anyone willing to support you will really help. Being vulnerable during this time is key. Humans experience those things called emotions, and it's important to love yourself through them. Past life purging. Are you sitting down and strapped in? Past life purging can come through as both physical and emotional symptoms. It's extremely difficult to tell where this type of purging is coming from and what you are actually releasing if you aren't fully tapped in. Now more than ever, all humans across this planet are purging and releasing their past lives and are completely unaware of it, because every past life is unique to the individual. It's tough to just say, this is the symptom that you should feel when it happens. However, there are two key things to be aware of when it does happen. Related patterns. The easiest way to tell if you are in the middle of releasing past life energy is if you notice the same pattern being repeated over and over again in your life. This pattern doesn't just have to be a recent pattern. Typically, these patterns have inundated you for an entire life. Some examples of human patterns I have noticed are disempowerment, lack of self-love, grief, spiritual third eye blocks, forgiveness, infidelity, respect, financial stability, and so on. It's good to understand these patterns in the present moment, but ultimately, these patterns have most likely been following you lifetime after lifetime. When I do past life and Akashic record exploration within myself and for clients, I see the same thing repeating over and over. Right now, we all came to this planet at this exact time because we are ready to move on. We need to stop repeating those patterns in order to do so. Instead of just reminding the client of all the times that they have repeated this same pattern, I go straight to the source. The very first lifetime that this issue occurred and why that person wasn't able to complete it or overcome it at that time. It's important to experience challenges because they allow us to grow. However, if we do not complete that challenge or follow it all the way through, it will follow us. It's like only listening to one part of a catchy song. If you don't listen to the end of the song, that part will be stuck in your head until you listen to it entirely. Typically, in past lives, when we pass away with unresolved emotions or attachments, that energy will follow your soul until it has been completed. This is basically describing the concept of karma. A lot of the time, when I tell my clients about their source, past lives, they look at me with their jaw open saying, I was describing what they were experiencing in this lifetime. The best thing to do is fully help yourself release that past life and pattern without even knowing the origin. Is to stop resisting the pattern. Stop reacting to the repetition. Instead, start becoming vulnerable and surrendering yourself to the lesson you are learning. Ask yourself, how have I always reacted to this situation? Then continue with the question, what can I do differently? You'll be surprised that even a small act of difference will change the frequency of the repetition, therefore helping you to complete the lesson. Past life misconceptions. One big misconception I feel is important to mention is that people believe planet Earth is a prison planet because we have the trap of karma. In a lot of ways, this planet has a pretty low vibe, and it's a struggle for sure. However, the concept of karma definitely does not apply to this planet. I know this because I have firsthand experience helping humans clear traumatic energy and karma from past cosmic lifetimes. Consider karma as a reverb effect of the frequency you emitted in the past, coming back around to complete itself in the present. This concept transcends all space and time and dimension. Extremely specific and shitty events. This is the other version of past life purging. It's fairly self-explanatory. Three things to take note of within this category of purging are specific, shitty, and random. When you encounter a bizarre and unexplainable moment that has all three of those things, it's probably associated with a past life release. Usually, we get hit with this kind of release out of absolutely nowhere. The most difficult part about this release is that we have no conscious understanding of where it's coming from. For example, if you were to drop something on your left pinky toe and it really hurt, it would just be a random shitty moment. But if you were to stub that same left pinky toe an hour later, it becomes more of a specific random shitty moment. Hopefully, by the second time it happens, you are able to stop and question what's going on. Without the ability to fully tap in, it's difficult to receive those answers. However, sometimes we just need to stop and listen to end or clear the energy that's been getting brought up. As odd as it sounds, a lot of time we need to re-trauma ourselves in order to release the original energy from a past life. I'll give you a good example of a recent, specifically random and shitty event that happened in my life below. I was in the middle of the jungles of Panama at a hippie festival. I was walking on a beach late at night to the specific area where I could get cell phone reception. About halfway through the walk, a clearly intoxicated local man started following me and yelling at me in another language. At first, I was really Canadian and quite nice, telling him that I didn't know what he wanted and that I didn't speak his language. When I got to the area on the beach where a bunch of people were having a bonfire, the man backed off. I called my wife on the cell and told her about him following me. She was obviously concerned. I reassured her that there were lots of people around, so I felt safe there. After about an hour and a half, the man appeared out of nowhere and once again started yelling at me. I looked around and realized a lot of the people had left while I was on the phone. I was also quite shocked that the man stuck around and hadn't left yet. I was feeling alone and scared. I was angry at myself for not noticing the change of environment or the fact that he was still there. I am usually very aware of my surroundings. I just wanted to get out of there, so I decided to walk back to my tent. I turned on my cell phone flashlight and got off the phone with my wife since I was going to lose reception anyway. As I walked back, the man started following me again. Halfway between the cell phone point and the campgrounds, this man jumped me and proceeded to try and take my phone away. Even though I am 5 foot nothing, I always feel that I am larger than life and I can take on anything. Well, I might have underestimated this situation a little bit. So, of course, in my mind, the only logical thing to do was run after him and tackle him on the beach. I also started yelling for help. He tackled me back and an all-out brawl ensued. At one point, he had me pinned, covering my mouth so I couldn't yell for help. And that's when I began to get a little nervous. He started punching my face. When I attempted to get back on my feet, he kicked me in the solar gut, knocking the wind out of me. I finally managed to run away seeking help from this asshole. And my head was spinning. Why did this happen to me? I went back to the tent and told the security guard. I was hyperventilating and feeling violated, yeah. The security team immediately began searching for him. When they left, I tuned into the energy of what actually happened and why I was specifically targeted out of the countless others on the beach. And I was shocked by what I saw. Lifetime after lifetime of getting physically abused by men, especially husbands and fathers. The feeling of violation and helplessness washed over me. In one of those lifetimes, I actually recognized my attacker. He was once my husband. He was an alcoholic and extremely physically abusive. In that life, I never had the courage to fight back. I never had the courage to stand up for myself. So even though in my books the brawl in the jungle was a loss, it was actually a win. I didn't back down. and I didn't allow him to just take what he wanted. I fought back. Finally. In some of those past lives, around 40 to be exact, I was actually an abuser myself. In childhood, I was brutally attacked by my father and witnessed him constantly abuse my mom. All I knew, all I was taught, was hate and violence. So that's all I projected into my relationships. In that moment, I began to have full compassion for this man who assaulted me. Without knowing anything about him in this incarnation, I understood that he too must have really been hurting emotionally and in need financially to go to that extent to steal a phone. They ended up catching the guy. Turns out he was a security guard for the festival. He got drunk on the job and ended up getting fired for being drunk, only 2 hours before I encountered him. Unfortunately, the other staff never escorted him off the property after he was let go. The next day I looked into the mirror and I was absolutely shocked. All I had was a tiny scrape on my nose. This guy had punched me in the face multiple times and it didn't even show. I asked my guides why I wasn't black and blue, and they responded with, "This was meant to clear karma, not create it. If you woke up with a black and blue face, you would have played the victim for the rest of the trip and would not have allowed yourself to complete that energy." Mind blown. I hope this story, although it may be long-winded, was a helpful resource in understanding the randomly shitty people and specific things that we re-experience in order to complete and release it. In conclusion, after we have purged, cried, repeated, reacted, and released all these old energies, it's time to move forward and fill that gap with new and invigorating energies. The main thing that we can all do to release the old energy of the past is to surrender to the lesson and choose another way to respond so that we do not repeat it again. Benny says glitch. Am I still glitching? I hope not. Let's see, we're at 28 minutes. All right, we can do another chapter. We're on chapter 9. This book is really going fast as far as I can tell. And some of it, some of it hits real hard. And some of it reflects my own life, so it's interesting. Isn't it funny, synchronicities? They say that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I say when the student is ready, the lesson appears. All right, chapter 9. Try everything once. Hey, Starseed, do you feel the urge to try new things? By this point on your journey, you should be past some of the heavier energies. During this stage, you should be feeling the excitement and urge to try new things instead of falling back into your old patterns. As an old soul, there are many things that you have done and explored in past lives, both on and off this planet. As you move your frequency into a higher vibration, your soul will be hungry to experience those things that you've done before and try new things that you've never been exposed to. I just want to say, Starseed, that I'm proud of you. Sometimes on our awakening journey, we don't get told that enough. Sometimes we are alone on our journey, and that can be a scary thing. And I want to remind you that you are not alone. You are on a path, and you're going in the right direction. I want to remind you that you are needed and cared for. You are guided and protected. And most of all, you are here for a reason. You have a role to play, and as you move forward into the rest of the book, that role will become clearer as the validation your soul has been yearning for gets louder and louder. All the modalities. This stage of awakening is similar to the consumption of knowledge stage, but with a twist. Within the knowledge sponge phase, you want to know everything. Instead, within this stage of awakening, you want to experience everything. The biggest difference is that knowledge is informational and experience requires action within this physical world. Some of you will probably be going through this phase for a while or even the rest of your life. Although I have placed these chapters in chronological order, a lot of these things happen simultaneously and continually throughout your life, which is why this content is always relevant. At a certain point in time, it's important to get away from just the consumption of knowledge and to move into the experience of it. Some people get so consumed by the knowledge portion of awakening that they completely miss out on the experience behind the knowledge. The ones who don't bother with the experiential aspect of awakening are holding on to a limiting belief and convincing themselves that they aren't good enough or simply aren't able to actually tap in to have such experiences. Science has proven that our reality is created through our observations. Our observations are created through our beliefs. If you believe psychics are evil because that's what you've been taught by your religion, then you will constantly observe that as fact within your reality. Our observation only ever validates our beliefs. This ties back to my purposeful misspelling of universe. It needs to be a constant reminder that you are the one creating this, all of this. Your observation is as limited or expanded as you make it. That's why it's so important to let go what you think you know and open your mind beyond your beliefs. If I were to tell you ghosts and spirits are real and they are actually all around us, your mind will begin opening to have that experience of reality. You can apply this concept to just about everything. If you don't know, you don't experience. I always recommend you try everything once. Okay, maybe not everything. I don't want you going around trying cocaine because EA told you to. With that statement, I specifically mean trying every spiritual modality, or at least a variety of them, to get a feel for what resonates. Remember that word? This is where your discernment really comes in handy. Here are some of the most common categories of spiritual practices. Choose one. Explore, connect, and experience. Choose them all if you want. I know I dabbled in a bit of everything before I found my niche, and I still don't think that I have a specific niche. I love it all. Something to note. All of these categories have an infinite number of practices associated with them. Try a few and see what works for you. Then put your own spin on it. Some spiritual categories: healing, card reading, mediumship, clairvoyance and other clairs, astral traveling, palm reading, interdimensional channeling, astrology, numerology, sound healing. Sound healing. Yeah, I like that one. Within each category of spirituality, there are literally an infinite amount of modalities to try and experience. After dabbling in a variety of different modalities, you should have a clearer understanding of what you gravitate towards. Or maybe just like me, you enjoy a little of everything. It's important to always continue listening to yourself because you never really know what you may resonate with from moment to moment. The last thing I want is for you to try something and attach yourself to it as if it is now part of your identity. Anything, no matter how good it is, can still become a trap. As our vibrations rise, we step into the unknown. This can be scary or liberating, depending on how you look at it. Anything is possible in the state of no expectations. I see mediums channeling spirits and loved ones and think, if you can do that, why not channel aliens, or the collective consciousness, or the whole freaking universe? Why limit yourself to anything these days? You have most likely experienced a little of everything in past lives. This life is about remembering them and not getting stuck in just one. This doesn't mean that if you love Reiki, you have to do a bunch of other things, but I highly recommend you find your own spin on it. Understand that these labels for modalities were created by one person once upon a time because that resonated fully within them. Who's to say that you can't create your own modality? Your soul will feel the freest and most liberated by doing so. Once you open yourself up to the knowledge and the experience available to you, you'll begin to notice your life changing and not just a vibrational change. On a personal note, when I started stepping back into my spiritual gifts and abilities, I was so excited. I was also holding a limited mind. When I started with a past life regression, I thought it was all there was, the only truth. I knew, the only truth I knew was what I experienced. I thought opening up to past lives was big enough. It must be the final truth. Oh, I was wrong. Likewise, when I moved into astral traveling yet again, I believed that was it, the end of knowledge. Then, when I began exploring mediumship and channeling deceased loved ones for clients, I was a bit baffled. Baffled that mediums typically only stick to mediumship. I understood getting into a modality and knowing it's your calling, but also if you have the ability to open the gateway to another realm, wouldn't you want to know or at least explore it all? When I started exploring, I never wanted to stop. With every new modality I tried, my eyes became more and more open to the possibilities. I started realizing that there were an infinite amount of possibilities out there, many of which I simply won't have the time to explore. At first, it made me feel overwhelmed and frustrated at the little time that we have on this planet. I wanted to throw in the towel and just give up trying. It was too much. But now I feel excited to wake up every day to limitless possibilities. I surrender to the understanding that all I know is nothing at all. And this gives me the freedom just to be. However, after about 10 years of channeling, I do feel a connection to aliens, past lives, and quantum physics. So I'll probably explore that, or at least make it my focus moving forward. The biggest challenge I have faced in the past few years, especially since going public, is what to call myself. I don't feel like just a psychic, or just a medium, or just a past life regressionist, or just a channeler of aliens. I honestly don't know what I am, but I've accepted that. Every once in a while, I will play with new labels such as paradigm shifter or free will activist. Right now, those are the ones that resonate the most, but I am also willing to change them when the time comes. When you ask yourself who you are, the only answer you need to be clear on is I am a vibrational frequency experiencing this current moment in a physical body. So that is the end of chapter 9. We'll start on chapter 10 the next time. I'm going to make this a short show because I want to get ready for the little party that I'm having for my husband. Because as I said, it is his birthday. And there are a few other birthdays out there. Jenna. So happy, happy, happy birthday. And to all the July birthdays, may they be wonderful. Well, that is all for now, my very dear friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Never forget that you are amazing. You are loved. Be well, be safe out there. And I'll see you on the next show. One more thing, Mercury retrograde is not forever, and you can make it through. I love you all. Bye bye.